Alex, let me stay on your point and read you this reporting from NBC News. FBI fires special agents who worked on Jack Smith's probe into Trump. Quote, the FBI has fired at least 3 special agents who worked in connection with former special counsel Jack Smith's probe of now President Donald Trump. All 3 agents were previously named in documents released by Chuck Grassley about Arctic frost, an FBI probe that was a precursor to the Smith investigation, which resulted in 2 federal criminal cases against Trump, one for his handling of classified docs, the other for involving his attempts to overturn the 2020 election loss, which ended in the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. I would argue that it didn't end at all. It's very much ongoing. In the fact that the lie about his loss is the predicate for the purge that you were talking about. And the thing that they don't want discussed, right, is FBI minus its entire top tier of expertise and leadership isn't just the FBI, promoting a young crop of leaders, which across the board at institutions can have benefits. It's decapitating all of its expertise in service of loyalty. And I wonder what your theories are about why there isn't more outcry from Republicans about handicapping and limiting the capabilities of the FBI.
Well, I think Trump owns a Republican Party, and anybody who, the Republicans can't admit that Trump lost the 2020 election anymore. It's like a party line that it's unclear. There was some fraud somewhere. That's the best case scenario for getting any Republicans to admit what actually happened is casting doubt on it, let alone just, suggesting that Joe Biden actually won fair and square. The co-opting of the truth by this administration is staggering, and the willingness of the Republican Party to go along with it is appalling. I think Republicans have made peace with the fact that the rule of law that was once the sort of bedrock foundation of the party and the notion of upholding that law and coloring within the lines and, abiding the Constitution, they've made peace that power is paramount to everything. And Donald Trump holds the power, and so they kneel at his ring. I've become so cynical about the GOP and its ability to act as any kind of check on Trump's worst impulses that I'm not particularly surprised that they would rather forego America's national security in the pursuit of actual criminals who threaten our society. Because some of the same people might actually want to investigate Donald Trump and hold him accountable. They've chosen a man over country, and this is the clearest example of that yet. The fact that they are indicting the former FBI director who has served the country and upheld the rule of law, and, oh, by the way, also helped Donald Trump win the 2016 election. So, the notion that somehow he's a partisan actor who needs to be punished to feed the ego and the sort of fears of the commander-in-chief is just, that's where we're at. I think there are real questions about what all this purging and decapitation is going to do to our ability to fight off real threats, both domestic and international, and what it does to holding those in power accountable in administrations well past that of Donald Trump. If you're a career prosecutor at the FBI who hasn't yet been fired, do you really want to stick your neck out after Trump's out of office? Look what's happened here. It's like America's allies saying, do you really want to enter in a pact with America right now? We are such a destabilized and morally fluid country with a code of ethics that seems to change with every election. It's really hard to do business with America. It's really hard to uphold principles just for the sake of upholding principle.
I wish I could quibble with a single word of a single sentence from Alex. I can't, and I won't. What is the thinking inside the FBI? Trump is not done with FBI directors. Even in that category, he has stated publicly that he would like to bring his next case against Chris Wray. Yeah, so I also think that case will go nowhere. The president. But to Alex's point, even going this far is somewhere. It is, and I don't think there's any limits to what he will try. But alleging that the FBI had 274 agents stirring up the crowd on January 6th, patently false, just another conspiracy theory, no basis in fact. But to pick up where Alex left off, I think people who were equally culpable in all of this, Republican leadership, it's really, they're negligent in their duties right now, and their duties are supposed to be to their constituents and the American people,
and the protection of our Constitution, not only for ourselves, but our posterity. For those of us who have children, we have an obligation to make sure we're passing on something that is seemingly similar to what the founders intended, and moving in the right direction and not in the beginning of a death spiral where we find ourselves. But the coercive nature of the FBI, as Alex was highlighting, if we continue down this path, something will happen, something catastrophic could happen. The threat from international terrorism, global jihadist groups, is higher than it was before September 11th. Director Wray was talking about that before he was pushed out of office. Al-Qaeda before September 11th was roughly 500 individuals. The global jihadist movement is in the tens of thousands in 24 different countries around the world right now, and they're still intent on doing us harm. The lead agency for countering terrorism and preventing the next 9/11 is the FBI. But if you have 25% of agents, as the Washington Post just reported, working on immigration matters, and you're culling the ranks and having all this intimidation and coercive approach towards the employees, you could get hit. Additionally, on foreign counterintelligence, the FBI are the lead spy hunters. So when our adversaries, the Russians, the Chinese, the Iranians, pick a country, when they sense weakness, blood in the water, that's when they're going to try to go after our people and gather information and intelligence. We've also fired countless federal government employees who may have had access to sensitive or classified information, who are now thrown out on the street. They might have a grievance. They might have a financial need. Mm-hmm. All of these things are what intelligence officers look for, somebody who's in a compromised situation. Cyber, the FBI is the lead in cyber defense. Mm-hmm. But then public corruption, going after corrupt public officials, going after financial crimes to make sure our system is solid. And none of those things are happening the way they traditionally do.
Glenn, you get the last word.
Yeah, I think, look, I subscribe to the diner theory of everything. The reason why diners in New York are great are because the customers are jerks, right? So if you have Republican senators who are not using their leverage and holding Trump accountable on stuff, what's the use? They're throwing away their own power. So maybe if they were being more rigorous and obstreperous, it would rein in Trump without necessarily sacrificing anything that the Republican senators want to do.
Well, I mean, to your point, what Trump's doing isn't popular. We talk about his power, one, like it's a steady thing. It's like a heartbeat, right, up and down. And two, his popularity is actually more like a line that goes only in one direction. 62% of Americans believe that Trump improperly encouraged federal investigations of his political opponents, including 40% of Republicans. 85% of Democrats believe that to be the case. So it's terrible politics as well, which I guess inspires a totally different conversation that we'll have tomorrow.